What is up, guys? It's Nistro here, and I got you guys another video today. And in this one, I want to talk about 5 archetypes or cards that should have been reprinted in the 2017 Megatins. Because, let's be honest here, like, although the Megatins did have some decent reprints from some of the past few sets, like, as a whole, the Megatins doesn't really have anything too substantial. Like, it doesn't have anything substantial enough to warrant like an actual purchase. Like, for the most part, you'd be way better off just buying singles. And the Megatins have like a lot of wasted space. It's like a lot of cards in the Megatins just don't really feel like it's worth getting a Megatin for. And so that's really happened this year because Konami has seemed to omit a lot of real good cards that, you know, really would have been nice to have in rotation again, to have reprints for, that I think would also benefit them in the future. And you know, the first one you see here is a Subterra Final Battle, because and I'm putting Subterras and Spirals like both in the same boat here, because both of these are the TCG exclusive archetypes of this year. Now, I know they didn't, I don't know if they did last year, but I know the year before that, Burning Abyss was reprinted in the Megatins. Like, we had Dante, we had Virgil, and we had quite a few cards. Although we did get them again in the Premium Gold, you know, it was nice that Konami decided to reprint Burning Abyss in those tins. And it was because, you know, we were getting more support for it in the future. You know, we got Beatrice in a Premium Gold set, you know, like the next year. So, having it so that, you know, this year with Circuit Break, we're getting Link Monsters for both Spirals and Subterras. It really would have been a good call by Konami to reprint all of the Subterra cards that were from the Dark Illusions to Raging Tempest, because those were the 3 sets that would have had the Spirals and the Subterra's cards in them. And I think it was a bad call by Konami not to put these guys in, you know, simply because, you know, it would sell more. Like, if we had, like, okay, so the Subterra Link Monster and the Subterra deck as a whole, a lot of people don't really like, but like Spirals is getting real famous right now. A lot of people are saying that it might be meta in the future, and it is a solid option to play right now. So, like, having, you know, it all in one place, or for the most part, having most of it in one place where, you know, everything that you need from Maximum Crisis is like super rare and lower, you know, maybe like 1 fully armed, but that's not even expensive. Just having it all in one place where it was all reprinted and you could all pick it up for mostly all at once, it will make it easier for vendors to move cores along, and, you know, it will make Spiral just more accessible, so that when Circuit Break comes around, a lot more people have the chance to play it with the new Link Monster. And Subterra is same thing, except, you know, since it's not as famous, I can understand why Konami wouldn't want to do that. But there was a lot of stuff in this Megatin that just really wasn't that good, and I think Subterras would have been a better option to reprint than a lot of the stuff that was reprinted in the Megatins. So yeah, the TCG exclusives, I think Konami should start doing from this point forward, especially if it's confirmed that we're getting support for these archetypes. Next is Coral Dragon, a secret rare from the Dark Illusion that Konami didn't really bother with reprinting, and I honestly don't understand why. It's like, it's not really, it hasn't been reprinted like at all. Like, luckily I had one beforehand, but it's like, why wouldn't Konami print this? It's such a good card. It's a dragon, it's a synchro tuner, and, you know, with Link rules it could be pretty amazing, because, you know, with Link rules it could be pretty amazing just because of the fact that it's a tuner itself, and you know, you can synchro summon it, and because of our limitations with the extra monster zone, you can only have 1 synchro out at a time, you know, if you're not using Link monsters. With Coral, if you use it for another synchro summon, since it's a tuner, you know, you would draw a card when it's sent to the graveyard. And, you know, it's a real solid card, like, all around. And I really think it would have been a real nice reprint. It's a secret rare. You know, I don't think it's that expensive anyway, but, you know, it's just something that I would have liked to see, just so that, you know, we could have a few more copies around. You know, a few more people could be able to play test it in real life. So, you know, it's not something that really bring down the Megatins, but I think it would have bring it up if we had it. Next, we have the Crystron Synchros. Now, you're gonna look at me, Nistro, and you're gonna be like, wait, I pulled a few Crystron commons, so why is this here? And that is one of the things that I think Konami did really stupid with in this set, is that they reprinted the Crystron commons, and only the commons. None of the Ultras or the super rare Crystron monsters were actually reprinted in the 2017 Megatons. And you may think, oh, Link format, Crystron's are dead anyway. But, Starboy is actually coming out later this year. And not only that, but it's like, it's an archetype that's really based around, constant synchro summoning. So they kind of can hold their own, but, nobody has found, like, a real solid build for it yet. So, obviously, it's not the best deck around. But I just find it weird. Like, why reprint some of the Crystons? Like, why you put the commons in the tin and not put the Ultras? I understand the Ultras probably would have been a disappointment to pull. Like, none of them would have been worth more than like $1 retail. So it definitely would be disappointing to pull. But I feel like for people who actually want to play the deck and didn't have a chance to pick it up before, these Megatons would have been a real nice time for Konami to put these in. Next, we have Danglong, and dear God, the fact Konami did not put this in triggers me a little bit. Now, this doesn't affect me because I already have a playset of Danglongs, but it's like with the upcoming ban list, it's very likely that Zoo and True Draco are going to get hit. We don't know if Dinosaurs is going to get hit here in the TCG yet, and we don't know how bad Danglong might get hit. But if only Zoo and True Draco get hit, Danglong is going to be a real solid card in the near future, because Danglong is a card that really helps a lot of decks like Zephyrs and Yang Dings and Dinos and True King Dinos. It gives them like a real solid synchro option that searches them to gates, and it's even a floater in itself. And like in Dinos, you can make True King of all calamities easily. In the Zephyr build that I play, it's real convenient for floating into Zephyr Neo. So it has a lot of uses in a lot of different builds of decks. And the fact that it wasn't reprinted kind of makes it a little harder to get if you haven't already. And the fact that it did spike a little after Worlds, so it is a little more in demand. And the fact that it wasn't reprinted in tins, it's like, I think it was a real bad choice on Konami's part. I don't know if 9 Pillars was reprinted. I think it was. But I think 9 Pillars without Danglong is like, it's only good in freaking Yang Zings, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of decks that could use it. Next, we do have the Wind Witches. I don't know which one is more expensive, Glass Spell or Ice Spell. I think this one is the more expensive one. Like, this one went up to like 10, 15. And it's because of the fact that Invoked Wind Witch is actually a real strong option for Link format. Crystal Wing, Invoked Raijin, like the deck has a lot of power. Spellbook, a knowledge, gives it draw power and consistency. So the fact that these Wind Witches weren't reprinted is going to make Wind Witch a little harder to get. It's not a big deal if you already have the stuff, but it's like for a lot of players, you're limiting their options in the decks that they can build by not reprinting some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because although there are people who spend a lot of money in this game and don't have a problem picking some of this stuff up, there are still the players that kind of rely on these reprints from a lot of the time, and not having such essential reprints like this and focusing more on like stuff like Zodiacs and and like other like weird side deck cards. That's mostly what these Megatons were. It was like Dark Magician, side deck cards, and Zoo. That's all that that's all the good stuff that the 2017 Megatons has. So yeah. So these were 5 things that I think should have been reprinted in the 2017 Megatons because of how lackluster the 2017 Megatons has felt. And I think with these, it would have been a way better set. I don't know if the player base would still have been disappointed with the set as a whole, But I know like everybody at my locals felt like, this set wasn't really worth buying, and it wasn't this hype as the Megatins from the years before, where we had stuff like Solemn Strike, Denglong, I said Denglong, Denko Saka, Dante being reprinted. I do admit that, Dimensional Barrier and Cosmic Cyclone and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries being reprinted, even some of the Dark Magician stuff, it definitely did make the tins probably better to buy this year. But those are something that you could get singular, and don't even waste your time if you're trying to get those cards. Like just buy singles because buying the tins themselves, it's like there isn't enough good cards in these tins, and I think reprinting these would have been those good cards that made the tins worth buying a little more. Crystal Wing obviously was reprinted in the Battles of Legends of Life's Revenge, and it already shot down in price. So Konami didn't really need to reprint it again in the Meg tins, and a deck like Amorphages that they also kind of forgot to put in. It wasn't really the biggest deal that they didn't put them in, but it's not really they aren't really a deck that a lot of people are going to use, so it's not a big of a deal anyway. So yeah. So yeah, that's really all I have to say for now. What do you guys think about the 2017 Megatins, or were they good for you? Other than the Pot of Desires and Proxy Dragon reprints, did you guys enjoy the Megatins? Did you guys pull well? Let me know in the comments. But if you don't have time to comment or you don't feel like commenting, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.